All right, let's dive into this one, huh? We're
Yeah.
talking Tony Vairelles. Buckle up, because this is a wild ride. Goals, controversy, you name it, and we've got a ton of your research to unpack.
Yeah, it's a story that grabs you. Hometown hero to, well, national headlines for all the wrong reasons.
Exactly. So we start in Nancy Franz. Homegrown talent, right? Was he always destined for greatness?
You could say that. Even as a kid, his instincts around the goal were incredible. Not just luck, real talent.
Right.
Right place, right time, always.
A natural. Those are hard to come by. But Lens, that's where he blew up, yeah.
Absolutely. 95, he joins Lens, and boom, everything changes. Not just personal awards, but his goals. They've been the 98 League One title. Their first ever, by the way. Massive.
Talk about leaving your mark. To be part of that, wow. Must have been an amazing time for French football.
Electric. The league was so competitive back then, and Lens, with Vairelles up front, they were a force. Real grit. Fans loved it.
And then, bam, he gets called up to the national team. Every player's dream. But talk about pressure, playing with Zidane, Henry, that whole era.
Exactly. And it's interesting, he only won 8 caps, which in a way tells you how stacked that team was. To even be considered, the skill in those training sessions alone, top level.
Just to be in that room, even for a bit. But we can't forget, 99, he moves to Lyon. Bigger club, Champions League, whole other world.
Strategic move. Lyon was a powerhouse, always going for titles. Champions League puts you on another level, up against the best in Europe.
Like that Ajax game in '02 that you pointed out. What was so special about that one?
Back and forth, really tense. Lyon won, but Vairelles, he actually started on the bench that game. Came on in the second half, and man, did he change the game. Energy just shifted. Lyon's attack was relentless. He didn't score, but you could feel the impact. Shows how even at that level, your role can change,
Tough competition, even at Lyon, to be a starter. Makes you think about the choices players make. But just looking back at this part of his career, what stands out to you about Vairelles' rise? He really did live that whole local boy makes good story.
He did. But I think his move to Lyon, it's key. It was a step up, sure, but also new pressures. At Lens, he was the man. Lyon, much bigger team, more stars, double-edged sword, right? More exposure, but way more competition, and that matters, especially as we get into what happens next.
You mentioned what happens next, and that's where things get complicated. 2011, right? Vairelles is retired, enjoying life after football. You'd think that's it, happy ending.
Right, you'd expect, what, relaxing, maybe some coaching, who knows?
Not exactly. What went down?
October 22nd, 2011. Vairelles and his brothers, they're at a nightclub. Nancy, I think? Sources are a little fuzzy on the details, but there's some kind of altercation. Them and the club's security guards.
Hold on. We're talking a former national team player in a nightclub fight. This is messy, even if it's just a misunderstanding.
It gets worse. Things escalate, and security guards get injured. And then shots are fired.
Shots fired. Okay, this isn't just some bar brawl anymore. This is serious.
Yeah, things get way out of hand. Police are called. Vairelles and his brothers, they're arrested.
Oh, yeah.
And the charges. Attempted murder.
Attempted murder. Wow. Talk about a fall from grace. From scoring goals to, what was the reaction like?
France was shocked. This was huge news. Tony Vairelles, the hometown hero, League One champ, facing serious time. Nobody saw it coming.
From football star to, wow, facing those kinds of charges.
Right.
What was his defense?
So, through all of it, and it was a long process, years, Vairelles always said he was innocent. He and his brothers, they claimed self-defense. Said they felt threatened, had to protect themselves.
Self-defense in a nightclub. I can only imagine the legal wrangling. How long did this whole thing go on for?
Ooh, over a decade. Can you believe that? 11 years. From that night at the club to the final verdict in 2022.
11 years, that's a long time. What did the court decide?
Guilty. Attempted murder. 5 years in prison, but 2 years were suspended, so he ended up serving 3.
3 years. That's heavy. Especially compared to, winning titles, playing for France. Did this change how people saw his career, his achievements?
It definitely complicates things, doesn't it? It's hard to square that image of Vairelles, the local kid who made it big, with, this conviction.
Makes you think. Someone can achieve amazing things, but still make terrible choices, face serious consequences.
It's a reminder that people are complicated. We like our stories simple, especially with athletes, right? Heroes, villains. But life's not like that.
No, it's never that simple. Tony Vairelles, his stories gave both. The highest highs, and then, well, this. Leaves you with a lot to think about. Does it change how you see his accomplishments? Tough question.
Maybe that's the point. It makes you look past the headlines, past the easy answers. Even with the verdict, we don't know everything about that night. And that, I think, is worth remembering.